violation when a private company decides they don't want to platform you, okay? That's not a First Amendment violation. It's shitty. It is actually, however, a real violation of the First Amendment when the federal government is trying to enforce some cruel measures upon a human being that is a legal permanent resident for the crime of not liking what he has to say. That is a real violation of the First Amendment. That is real First Amendment violation shit, okay? This is the United States of fucking America. You can't do this shit, okay? The fact that there are people who don't recognize how insane that is and how this is a completely unacceptable violation is shocking. Holy, that is so crazy. The American government, the right-wing American government, is now actively looking into denaturalizing or at least revoking the green card of legal permanent residents. Mahmoud Khalil is the first step. They've stated that they're going to do this over and over again. Okay, Mr. Free Speech Defender Asmongold thinks when boobs get pixelated or when boobs are like a little bit smaller in a fucking video game, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to free speech. That's the grossest anti-free speech crime that Sony could commit on Stellar Blade. Asmongold literally went after those fucking petitions that freak-ass Grums made. He defended that shit. He hyped it up. But God forbid, when the American state actually fucking puts down the hammer and decides, we don't like what you have to say, you're going to get deported, then he goes, terrorist simps. It's awesome. It's based. As I was saying, pro-Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil was black-bagged from his Columbia University campus apartment by the Department of Homeland Security by ICE agents and expeditiously shipped off to Louisiana. Today, in New York, a New York judge oversaw whether or not that was appropriate. Okay? And it's not appropriate. In the time frame that this happened a couple days prior, we learned that the Department of Homeland Security actually openly stated that there was no illegal reasons there was no law that was violated for Mahmoud Khalil's arrest and subsequent deportation or the deportation process starting. And that it was specifically because they didn't like what he was saying. It was because of what he was doing and what he was saying, which was Mahmoud Khalil being a pro-Palestinian activist, a student activist. That's it. That right there is a direct violation of the First Amendment. If you can't fucking see that, if you can't understand how dangerous this is to turn a blind eye to, then you're fucked. It's over. Your eyes are closed. Fascism is here, and your eyes are fucking completely closed. It was not even an arrest. It was a kidnapping by the government. And it wasn't even like this person saying things that were anti-American either. It was literally for a foreign nation. For a foreign nation. The nation of Israel, he hurt the nation of Israel's feelings. He must now be deported. You cannot be a green card holder and hurt the feelings of the glorious state of Israel. What a ridiculous situation this is. Where are the free speech advocates? This is a real violation of free speech. This is a real violation of the American right to demonstrate.
In our country, as it relates to this next story, CBS News 24/7 with an eye to court battles over a pro-Palestinian activist facing deportation out of the United States. We are talking about Mahmoud Khalil. So let's learn a little bit more about him. He's a legal U.S. resident. He has a green card. He protested against Israel's war in Gaza at Columbia University. Of course, we know Columbia University getting a strong finger wagging and a withdrawal of some big time dollars in recent days. Immigration agents arrested Khalil over the weekend, shipped him off to a detention center in Louisiana. Columbia grad. Now his supporters and legal advocates are rallying for his release. Well, fast forward to today, and this is the scene from the sky. The arrest sparking demonstrations in some parts of our country, not the least of which right outside the courtroom. The White House says Khalil's arrest is the first of many. And that sent protesters who say his speech should be protected as a legal resident of the United States under green card status. Well, they say they're going to protest that. They say he should be protected, should not be deported. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security, we are understanding, says they will detain more people connected with last year's protests. All right, it's my understanding that we have an opportunity now to hear a news conference on this very issue.
Louisiana is a day too long. We and he fully intend to vindicate not just his First Amendment rights, but those of all American permanent residents and anybody who wants to speak out. It simply cannot be the case that you can be disappeared at night off the streets of New York City simply because the current U.S. government, the current administration at the White House dislikes what you have to say. That is, not just un-American, it's also unacceptable. And so Mr. Khalil and we will fight as hard as we need to in court to bring him home to New York City as soon as possible. And that's one of the motions that is now pending before this court. It is a motion to bring him back home and to free him so that he can fight this removal case.
Ramsey, why did you not take the judge's invitation to argue the merits?
So we won't be answering questions right now, but
just tell us just how unprecedented something like this is. You just talked about that.
Look, this.
No questions yet.
Okay, so I'll just say this and I'll step back. It is absolutely unprecedented. The grounds that are being cited by
This right here is such an insane violation, dude. He's being held in a detention facility in Louisiana. Okay? If people, it doesn't matter what your perspective is. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you right now. It literally doesn't matter. Even if you're a fucking right winger, okay? Even if you're pro-Israel, if you are stupid enough to think that this is a good decision, you are so goddamn short-sighted. You are not seeing the fucking forest for the trees. This is an insane violation of the First Amendment. Why Louisiana? Because they judge shop and they have more reactionary, more right-wing judges in Louisiana that will expeditiously move on with this process and possibly revoke his citizenship and deport him, even if there isn't like real reason to do any of those things. Like, America doing this kind of stuff in the war on terror to random people that they decided were terrorists because they were shipped out of Pakistan or whatever, it was already completely unacceptable. It was a violation of human rights. We were gross for doing it. We have ramped up the pressure. We have actually escalated this. It's not even like people with student visas, which also would be completely unacceptable. I'm not even saying that is even remotely acceptable. It's still unacceptable if it was done to someone with a student visa. But the fact that it's being done to someone with a fucking green card is insane. We are officially one step removed from denaturalization. How can people not fucking see that? If they can do it to him, they can do it to you too. Do not think that you are safe. Do not think that you are safe. How can people be so goddamn short fucking sighted?
What crimes did he commit personally to deserve deportation? It's hard to say whether he committed a crime, but there's a higher standard of conduct for people that are green card holders than people who are natural.
That's not true. That's not true. That's literally not true. No. First of all, if that was the case, then the American government could just kidnap fucking tourists on U.S. soil, okay? Oh, you're on a tourist visa. I can kidnap you and kill you now. You have no laws, no due process whatsoever. Like, it doesn't work that way, okay? Everyone that's legally and even illegally on U.S. soil still has due process. They still have a right to a fair trial, okay? The idea, this is like, you don't know anything. It makes me so mad. There is no tiers for people in terms of like the criminal justice system. You can't just be like, no, sorry, you're a green card holder. I can, the government can come in and just deport you. No, the reason why people are fucking freaking out over this is because up until this moment, it is completely unacceptable. Okay? Just because the government decides it's acceptable doesn't mean it is. It is not only immoral, but it's also illegal. You can't, based your way out of this argument. It's so fucking stupid.
Naturalized citizens. Yeah, there's a higher standard of conduct. And he wasn't meeting that conduct, so he's getting deported, hopefully.
Hopefully. My grandmother was from Germany, had to flee with her family during Hitler's regime. She had relatives who would eventually be killed in the camps. In her life story, she wrote that one of the first steps when Hitler took power was to strip all educational institutions of Jewish professors, including her father. So they had to leave. This is fascism. This is Nazism. It's already here, and it's not hyperbolic to call it that. Exactly. It's not. It's not. People don't understand. People do not fucking understand what is going on. People do not understand what's happening. What's happening in front of their fucking eyes, dude. Oh, people think Nazis just tuned up fucking the Holocaust button to 11 overnight. Like it just happened overnight. It wasn't a process that took decades of dehumanization and justifications that were created, legal justifications that were created off of completely false premises that Jews were responsible for all the wrong things in America. I mean, I'm saying American because we are talking about America in German society. It didn't happen. It was gradual. We are closer and closer than ever before. We're in it now. We're officially in it. The only thing that is stopping Donald Trump from implementing full-blown Gestapo shit at this moment, the only thing that is stopping Donald Trump from implementing full-blown Gestapo shit of like door knocking and just like rounding up people and putting them in concentration camps is logistics, okay? That's it. They don't have enough money and they don't have the detention centers right now. And they don't want, ICE doesn't have the capability to do so. That's it. We've passed the Rubicon. The only thing that's stopping these guys is money, okay? And also, all of this is happening. It's all tied together. All of this is happening. And in the backdrop, we have a Senate battle that I am truly terrified is not going to be fought by the Democrats, okay? They passed a continuing resolution in the House. All the Democrats voted against it, obviously, with the exception of one. You know, fuck them. But they had the opportunity to vote against it because they knew that it was going to pass with or without them. In the Senate, you need 60. John Fetterman is the only Democrat that has come out and said they're going to pass this budget bill. They're not going to force a shutdown. They're not going to use the one weapon that they have to claw back some of the insane power grab that the Republicans are engaging in. And John Fetterbrain has already said, no, it's cool. I'm on board. So now you have one Republican that says he is not going to vote for this. And you have one Democrat that said he is going to vote for this. So you still have 10. If the Democrats back down from this battle without getting assurances or protections in this process, it's over. Okay? And what's crazy to me is like, oh, if we shut down the government, it's going to be on our hands. Bitch, the government is shut down effectively. Donald Trump is doing everything in his power to shut down the government right now. Oh my God. And I know that there's breaking news on the story, but I want to cover the Mahmoud Khalil side of this first before we move on, okay? Before we move on to that side of the story. I just wanted to give you a briefer on where I'm going to go for this.
I heard that it got blocked. And there should be? Yeah, they should be. And I support this completely. I hope they do this to more of them. We have enough troublemakers in the country already without importing new ones on green cards to start even more trouble.
Dude, you live in a fucking house that has black mold with cockroaches on you, okay? Shut the fuck up. Oh my God, this makes me so mad. Oh my God, what a vile, ghoulish way to fucking approach the subject matter, dude. Holy fuck. I'm gonna at him. Jesus Christ, dude. I don't even know if I should be joking about the fucking violation of free speech when devs make video game boobs smaller, but like it is so ridiculous. Like, free speech defender, dude. Totally valid to fucking deport these troublemakers. I love when I have the misfortune of reading Asthma viewer comments when it's involving you and there are thugs who say shit like, I pray this America hater steps foot inside of Brinkley, Arkansas, Lamau. Yeah. I didn't add him. He's going to see it anyway. I didn't want to add it because I didn't want to put it in the beginning, because when you do it limits the reach of the tweet. He'll see it. I'm sure his audience will send it to him. Anyway, it's just like, oh my God.
So he's getting deported. Hopefully. I heard that it got.
Hopefully, dude. Hopefully he's getting deported. Like, what a fucking insane statement to make, dude. Holy fuck. People are so comfortable making statements like this as long as it's the government doing this shit. It is such a, it's insane. It's insane to fucking be this unimaginably privileged and this short-sighted, okay? A government that will violate its own constitution this freely against people that you don't appreciate, okay, will do it to you as well. I mean, it's a cliche, but the dude, the Martin Niemöller poem is just like it's perfectly apt for this situation, you know?
This is Pacifica Radio's letter.
Where is the Oh my God, I'm so annoyed. I just want to watch like one fucking 50-second clip, and there is no here, this is it, I think. The first day came poem about the Holocaust is apt in this situation, is an apt way to understand what the fuck is going on, okay? First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. It's apt. It's important for people to understand, okay? Martin Niemöller wrote this poem. He was a prominent Lutheran pastor in Germany. In the 1920s and early 1930s, he sympathized with many Nazi ideas and supported radically right-wing political movements. But after Adolf Hitler came to power in 1933, Niemöller became an outspoken critic of Hitler's interference in the Protestant church. He spent the last 8 years of Nazi rule from 1937 to 1945 in Nazi prisons and concentration camps. Niemöller is perhaps the best remembered for his post-war statement. For Asmongold's "Then they came for me and no one will speak out" is only when the fucking right-wing reactionary movement finally decides video games are too violent and have too much pornographic material. Then maybe he'll fucking leave his house to go protest against the goddamn government, you know? At that point, it'll be far too late, I suspect. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, based. I didn't realize it would go this far. Yeah. In the American history of free speech, okay, free speech protections have rarely ever been afforded to what the federal government has considered radicals, okay? Anti-war protesters, communists, socialists, anarchists, black revolutionary figures, people that are disruptive to the hierarchy, to the pre-existing hierarchies, okay? That's true. American history has not been fond of throughout American history, the government has not exactly been fond of you know, people that have opinions such as myself. We then turn around and actively whitewash people that have been on the right side of history, and we rarely ever cover the people that were also on the right side of history. We oftentimes will repeat that they're like violent, you know, Malcolm X and things of that nature, like the Black Panther Party. They were violent radicals, and the other radicals that were historically more peaceful. Even if at the time we consider them to be radical and wrong, like MLK, who was fucking assassinated, who the FBI actively came after and tried to smear over and over again, we turn around and we whitewash their perspective. We turn around and we whitewash what they stood for and make him a more appropriate figure for consumption in an effort to make sure that people understand that, yeah, no, this is... Only acceptable forms of protest here, okay? No unacceptable forms of protest. Yeah, civil rights were won by polite discussion and emotional clarity. That's how it happened, which is wrong. That's not how it happened. I cannot comprehend how people don't understand that this is, it's over, you know? If you're defending the government at this point, you're fucking cooked. You're absolutely cooked.
By the government. for purportedly claiming to revoke his green card and putting him in removal proceedings. This is a person who is a lawful permanent resident. This is a U.S. person. Those grounds are vague. They are rarely used. Essentially, they are a form of punishment and retaliation for the exercise of free speech. We think it won't fly in federal court. We think it won't fly in immigration court. And it certainly should not fly in the court of public opinion.
Why not raise that today? The judge gave the option.
All right. Thank you, Ramzi.
Hi.
Next, I'd like to introduce Bahid Azmi, the legal director of the Center of Constitutional Rights, also a member of Mahmoud's legal team.
Bahir Azmi, Baher Azmy, from the Center for Constitutional Rights. Mr. Khalil's detention has nothing to do with security. It is only about repression. United States government has taken the position that it can arrest, detain, and seek to deport a lawful permanent resident exclusively because of his peaceful, constitutionally protected activism. In this case, activism in support of Palestinian human rights and an end to the genocide in Gaza. The government takes the position that because the Secretary of State finds his dissent unacceptable or contrary to U.S. foreign policy, he can be deported. As Ramzi suggested, it's largely unprecedented, save for ugly historical precedents, including in the Red Scare and McCarthyism. That's what we're talking about. We're also talking about a period of repression that the Center for Constitutional Rights knows well, following 9/11, when we were in the courts trying to get people out of secret detention. One thing that's different now is the legal infrastructure is so much stronger, and everyone out here on the streets knows that we cannot hide in the face of this amount.
So not unprecedented. I think it's unhelpful to simply talk about historical wrongs in the context of what is happening right now. It is unprecedented for the moment, okay? It's unprecedented for the moment. That's it. You need to get liberals to understand that this shit is completely ridiculous and it's completely illegal, okay? Yeah, it was Red Scare shit like deporting racial justice advocacy. I mean, they fucking executed racial justice advocates, obviously. No one is safe. No one. No one is safe. You let this government start off by claiming falsely that someone is just simply too anti-Israel for your liking. You could do this to him. You could do this to anybody for any reason, okay? Rosmea Ode was deported over an immigration form in 2017. A Palestinian-American organizer in Chicago. She was convicted for not disclosing a 1969 conviction from an Israeli military court, a conviction obtained through torture. The U.S. went after her decades later to punish her activism. The FBI raided Hatem Aboudaya's home in 2010, but was never charged. A Palestinian-American activist and community leader, Aboudaya was one of the several people targeted in an FBI crackdown on anti-war and pro-Palestine organizers. The case fell apart, but the raids disrupted movements and forced activists into years of legal battles. Mahmoud Khalil is not the first Palestinian activist in the U.S. That has been abducted. For decades, it has disappeared Palestinian activists without ever convicting them of anything. No due process, just secret trials, immigration loopholes, and laws used to crush resistance. And what is going on right now, what is going on in this situation is that they are dropping. The reason why this is unprecedented, okay, is because they've dropped the legal pretext. Do you understand? They're not even saying that there is a valid legal claim. There weren't any real valid legal claims in these circumstances either, but at least they tried to fucking make it seem like there was a valid legal claim. We have escalated, okay? We have decided that you don't even need a legal claim anymore. That's why I fucking get so mad about the goddamn Democrats being like, can you please give us a valid legal claim so we can defend it? Like, what the fuck are you saying? No, we are in the what the fuck are you going to do about it stage. Do you understand? They admitted, the Department of Homeland Security admitted that they have no legal claim to this deportation, to revoking this person's green card, other than I don't like what he's saying. They didn't even mention what he has said so far that they consider to be completely inappropriate. That's the other side of it. It just is mask off. That's it. How can people not fucking see this? Yeah, their only perspective on it is adverse foreign policy consequences for the United States. New documents reveal that the U.S. government is basing its case to support Mahmoud Khalil on Marco Rubio deciding that Khalil's presence or activities in the United States would have serious adverse foreign policy consequences for the United States. This is in-fucking-sane. Oh my God. How can people not see that? That is the escalation here. The escalation here is that they're not even lying to you, okay? It was unacceptable when they were doing it while also trying to find a legal justification for it. But now they're not even finding a legal justification for it. And before you say, oh, well, what if he was distributing Hamas flyers, right? That's not a legal justification. That is not a legal grounds. That is not legal grounds to deport someone, okay? There is a difference between saying someone lied on their form, okay? It's still fucking bullshit, but there's at least like some legal protection there. Some legal protection where it's not an abuse of pre-existing laws and pre-existing rules, where you can at least claim that you're doing it for that purpose. Claiming that someone was distributing flyers with pro-Hamas propaganda on it is not a legal justification in the United States of America. You cannot do that. You cannot revoke someone's fucking green card over that. That's crazy. Oh, so you like Hamas flyers is what those fucks will say now? I don't give a fuck what those fucks will say now. You can't do that. And there's no evidence that that was happening anyway. And even if that was happening, they're not even using that as evidence. They're not using that at all. It's not a First Amendment violation when a private company decides they don't want to platform you, okay? That's not a First Amendment violation. It's shitty, okay? It happens all the time. It happens to people like myself as well. It is actually, however, a real violation of the First Amendment when the federal government is trying to enforce some cruel measures upon a human being that is a legal permanent resident for the crime of not liking what he has to say. That is a real violation of the First Amendment. That is real First Amendment violation shit, okay? This being done at the behest of a foreign nation makes it even crazier. This is not Israel. This is the United States of fucking America. You can't do this shit, okay? The fact that there are people who don't recognize how insane that is and how this is a completely unacceptable violation is shocking. Mahmoud Khalil was taken by ICE and accused of affiliation with Hamas, but they haven't charged him or shown any evidence. Nobody knows what will happen to him. Under U.S. law, being aligned with the group isn't a crime. Only providing material support is. ICE still hasn't said what he actually did. Razmea Odeh was deported over an immigration forum in 2017. This is also unacceptable, and the real reason why they did this was because he was a fucking Palestinian-American organizer. That's the reason why Razmea was deported, okay? But in that situation, while that was also unacceptable, they at least had like some minor paperwork thing that they could fucking point to. In this instance, they don't even have that. And even if they did, they're not even presenting it because they don't care. The entire purpose here is to basically move the needle into this fucking direction. The FBI raided Hatem Abudayeh. We already talked about this. Sami al-Arian spent 12 years in prison, 2003 to 2015, and was then deported. A Palestinian professor, al-Arian, was accused of supporting Palestinian resistance, but no evidence tied him to any violence. A jury rejected most of the serious charges. He took a plea deal to end it, but the U.S. forced him into exile after years in solitary. Mazen al-Najjar held 3.5 years on secret evidence, never charged. A Palestinian academic jailed on vague national security claims. Al-Najjar spent years in detention without ever knowing why. A judge ruled it unconstitutional, but the U.S. deported him anyway. Palestinian resistance is criminalized in the U.S. The U.S. doesn't need a conviction when it can just disappear you through forced exile and political suppression. No charges, no trials, just raids, deportations, and indefinite detention. We all have to fight this, or they'll keep getting away with it. I would go so far as to say all of those previous instances of unacceptable ways in which these people have tried to find legal justifications for deportations like this played a role in what the Trump administration is doing now. And I'll go so far as to say that the Democrats also are liable here. They are morally culpable in this as well. Before you say, Hasan, oh, Democrats would never do this, remember, they spent the entire 16 months overseeing a genocide, actively arresting more than 3,500 student protesters, constantly claiming that they were fucking violent radical terrorist supporters themselves. The Democrats kept saying it. So then, yeah, of course, when a Republican comes in and he says, well, you guys have been saying these guys are terrorist supporters, time to fucking pack them up. This is how it works. They do not have to use any real justifications for it. They can just simply claim.
There are a lot of reasons
They can just simply fucking claim you're a bad dude. You're funded by Iran. You're funded by Hamas. A laughable notion. No evidence necessary. You're done. You're out. You're deported. And they will move on from green card holders. If they can do this to green card holders, they can do this to student activists that are on student visas. If they can do this to student activists on student visas and green card holders, they can do this to American citizens as well. And if they can do this to American citizens, they will eventually do it to you. It doesn't matter. You might think, okay, well, I don't give a fuck about Palestine. I don't give a fuck about Israel. Who cares? Okay? There will come a moment where it will be an issue that you do care about. How do you not understand this? As the illegal enforcement moves in this fucking direction, if you think you will be spared by the violence, you are a fool. It will eventually come for you or someone you care about. Okay? What are the odds of them putting him and many others in the future in Guantanamo so they can skip this whole law bullshit? They already said that anyone who destroys Tesla will be branded as a terrorist. Yeah, that's the other side of this. Like if someone engages in an act of vandalism against Tesla or Tesla stores or whatever, then there is a legal process to go through. You can't just slap them with the vague terrorism designation and decide to do whatever the fuck you want to them. Terrorism as a political designation is intentionally vague. The reason why it is intentionally vague is so you can apply it to whoever you don't like. The terrorism designation is applied so that you can deny them their due process. I don't know how more people are not up in arms against this. And I genuinely am shocked that, like, look, I'm not expecting Asmongold to have a principled freedom of speech stance. Like, obviously, make no mistake. He's just, reacting to whatever his fucking chat is saying. But god damn, dude. Like, it's shocking that more people don't understand how genuinely consequential, how genuinely damaging this is. Like, Mr. Trump will end this war on free speech. Like, yeah. Holy fuck.
Of repression. We will be fighting in the courts and fighting in the streets to bring Mahmoud home and prevent this level of repression from spreading to many others, as the administration has threatened to do.
Why not argue the merits in court today, sir? The judge invited repeatedly.
Thank you, Bahid. Now we'll hear from Professor Joseph Howley, an associate professor at Columbia University.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Howley, Howley, and I'm an associate professor of classics at Columbia University. The last time I spoke at a press conference was April 18th. That day, police officers in crowd control gear entered our campus for the first time in decades and carried off dozens of students who were peacefully and quietly encamped on one of the enclosed lawns in front of our library, threatening no one. As I watched this unfold in horror, I was asked to speak at an emergency press conference alongside Mahmoud, who had just been asked to negotiate on behalf of the encampment. It is always dangerous to speak in public for Palestinian rights, safety, and freedom with your face uncovered and your name declared. You can be sure you will be harassed, doxxed, terrorized. People will try to get you fired from your job. For speaking here, I will receive a new round of death threats, slander,
there was someone in the chat that asked me a question like, I don't know where it went, though. I lost it.
To my employer. When I step down from here, I will publish these remarks to protect me from the inevitable attempts to misrepresent my words. And Mahmoud, as a student negotiator, took these same risks and many more. Mahmoud is a man of decency, honor, and kindness. He has distinguished himself in his work as an advocate and negotiator, as someone committed to peaceful resolution of difficult situations. He is a consummate diplomat in his disposition and his character. What the Trump government is doing to Mahmoud is obscene. It is unreasonable, intolerable, unconstitutional. So why do they think they can get away with it? The Trump administration is betting that Americans will happily look the other way as one more Palestinian is victimized here on American soil. They are betting that when you hear Mahmoud's name or the word Palestinian, the parts of you that make you a thinking and rational and caring person will switch off, and you will believe the worst about him, and you will turn a blind eye to these grave violations of his rights. And after what I've seen over the last year and a half, I'm not sure they're wrong. Anti-Palestinian groups have spent all year casually leveling the most dangerous accusations on the flimsiest grounds, and members of our own community have repeated them. Don't like seeing a kafia? Call them a terrorist and call the cops. Don't like their views? Call them anti-Semitic and get them expelled. Don't like that your Jewish colleague has the chutzpah?
CBS News 24/7 outside the courtroom where those arguments.
The guy in the back is saying, we love Trump. And he's trying to, apparently there were people that were at that protest. They're saying that he was like antagonizing people, trying to fight them, trying to start fights and shit. That's what happened.
About Mr. Mahmoud Khalil played out. And now we have an opportunity to talk to somebody who was on the inside of that courtroom. Let's bring it over now to CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman outside that Manhattan courthouse. You were just in the courtroom. Obviously, the perspectives we just heard were very much in favor of Mr. Khalil. What can you tell us about those arguments that happened in court today?
So, Reed, this really wasn't a hearing where we were hearing about the merits of this case. And it's actually interesting because the judge expressed surprise about that there was no discussion about the merits or about bail for Khalil. So the real things that they were discussing are, there's a threshold issue of the jurisdiction. Mahmoud Khalil is currently at a detention center in Louisiana. He was arrested in New York. In between, he was brought to New Jersey. And what the government says is that the Southern District of New York is not the proper forum for this to be taking place. Khalil's attorneys have asked for him to be returned to the city. So that's going to be a key thing that needs to be decided here. Another thing that came up that was interesting is that Khalil's attorneys talked about the fact that they have not had proper access to their client since he was brought to this detention center in Louisiana. They said they have not yet had an attorney-client.
Yes, there's not anything I can do. Is CBS's audio okay? They cut the speech to talk about some shit, but anyway, here.
Hi everyone, my name is HasanAbi Dallal. That's SHEZAABBOUSHIDALLAL. I am a staff attorney with the Clear Project and one of Mahmoud Khalil's attorneys, and I will be reading a statement on behalf of Mahmoud Khalil's wife, who does not wish to be named. My husband was kidnapped from our home, and it's shameful that the United States government continues to hold him because he stood for the rights and lives of his people. I demand his immediate release and return to our family. His disappearance has devastated our lives. Every day without him is filled with uncertainty, not just for me, but for our entire family and community. Our loved ones are struggling with the pain and fear of his sudden absence. And yet, we are not alone. So many who know and love Mahmoud have come together, refusing to stay silent. Their support is a testament to his character and to the deep injustice of what is being done to him. Thank you.
God damn, dude. Holy shit.